Well, how's it going out today, boys and girls in sporting land? This is JPC and J&J Outlaw Sports, once again, the home of the common Joe and the common Sally and the no, even more so than those media talking heads. Now, let's get right to it, boys and girls. Today, class, I know you're fiending for some college football and football in general, maybe a few NFL fans out there, college basketball as well. So, to keep you guys from having withdrawals and fiending for it, I'm here. I'm here. I'm here to help. And today, class, today we're going to talk about the West Virginia Mountaineers and why I think they are one of the major programs in college sports that has yet to win a national championship in a major sport that I think is on the cusp of finally breaking through. And before I get to that, I'd like to ask you guys and gals once again to like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. Subscriptions are most important. You hit that little bell down there, a little button, and it only takes 5 seconds. Keeps me in the good graces of YouTube, and keeps me motivated and up and on the air. And with that, let's get right to it. West Virginia, a school smack dab in the middle of every major conference on the East Coast, or the eastern part of the United States anyway. We have the ACC, the SEC, and the Big Ten all surrounding West Virginia, yet they're in the Big 12, separated by miles and miles of states. So I've never understood the whole thing of joining the Big 12, but I guess they had to when the Big East basically dissolved as a football conference, in my opinion. So, in my opinion, West Virginia needs to be in one of those three conferences that I just mentioned. And a lot of people would probably say, well, what about the SEC? It sort of fits, and it does in a way with the traditions and the way the fan base is built in West Virginia. But in my opinion, I think it's a big leap for them to do that. So I think they'd be better off in the Big Ten or the ACC. I think they'd be more competitive, and they would also be able to maybe reconcile a little bit and have their rivalry with Pittsburgh again if they were to join, I think, the ACC that Pittsburgh is in. That's who I would choose if I were West Virginia, because they also are a pretty good basketball conference as well, and West Virginia is decent in basketball. I do think that if West Virginia does win a national championship in one of the two big money-making sports, it's going to be football. I know that sounds like a surprise too. But if you look back at their history, they've been ever so close. Just a lucky break here or there with a coach that maybe stays and sees it through, or a special talent like Major Harris back in the day that's surrounded by a few other great special talents. So they had Bobby Bowden as a coach from 70 to 75. So if he'd stayed, who's to say West Virginia wouldn't have had all that success? But he went to Florida State, and we know the story on that. So you fast forward to Don Nehlen. Don Nehlen comes in, and he raises West Virginia football up from the Frank Signetti 3-year blunder. And he takes them to the national championship game. Unfortunately, they run into Notre Dame, who's in the midst of one of those special years. I think they had Tim Brown win the Heisman Trophy that year. I also had Lou Holtz as the head coach back in his prime. And just running sort of a buzzsaw. If it had been any other year, West Virginia would have probably had that first national championship if they had not seen Notre Dame in 1988. So let's go through the 90s, get into the 2000s. Along comes a guy by the name of Rich Rodriguez. Now, I know a lot of people don't like Rich Rodriguez at West Virginia, but you got to give the man his due. When he was at West Virginia, the man was successful. It was a perfect match, a perfect fit. Lots of times these coaches get full of themselves and they think, well, I'm going to go on to a bigger and better deal. He almost did that with Alabama. Then he did do it the next year with Michigan. But the thing is, in 2006 and 2007, they were 11-2 back-to-back years, I think. And that 2007 year, they were actually ranked number 2 in the nation now. And they were playing a very subpar Pittsburgh team. I think Pitt was maybe like 5-5 or something, or 5-4 going to that game. And so we thought, West Virginia got this sewed up. Well, they go in there and Pitt doesn't eat shit. Is like they like to say. Pitt actually took a shit on West Virginia's national championship aspirations in that game, and probably cost them their most likely biggest opportunity uh, to date. Because when they played Notre Dame, they didn't really have a chance in that game, to be honest with you. But if they had played Ohio State in that game instead of LSU, I believe that West Virginia would have beat Ohio State. LSU beat Ohio State, and LSU had 2 losses because a lot of teams lost that year to make way for a 2-loss team to win their first national championship by a 2-loss team in like 40 or 50 years. So I think West Virginia made it that game. They would have won the national championship. I think they would have beat Ohio State. So we fast forward into the modern day, and Bill Stewart to me was a pretty good coach. He passed away on a golf course, unfortunately, right after he got fired unceremoniously and let go and brought in Dana Holgorsen. I, to this day, don't think that Dana Holgorsen should have been hired. I don't think Bill Stewart should have been let go. Of course, he ends up passing away, so it really doesn't matter at that point. But I never was sold on Dana, and a lot of the West Virginia fans were just enthralled with him. I guess because of his offensive explosiveness and exploits. And it was an exciting offense to a degree, but they had no defense. So Dana ends up dipping out on him and going to Houston, and then comes Neil Brown from Troy. Neil Brown has been pretty successful so far in his short career. I mean, he done wonders at Troy State. I think they may just be called Troy now, but he done wonders in a place that's hard to win. They went down. His biggest accomplishment was he took Troy down to Baton Rouge in Louisiana and upset LSU in Baton Rouge at night, and they were ranked 25th. So they can't say they weren't ranked. They were barely ranked, but they were ranked. They beat a ranked LSU team on the road. So the man is also 4-0 in bowl games. So Neil Brown knows how to coach the big game. He just needs the big opportunity, in my opinion. I think y'all got the right guy. But here's the thing. I think you need to change a venue on conference. I really do. I think if you changed venues in conference, I think that would help. You'd be more of give you more of a, to me, a better recruiting base, and just help you all around with the fans and the support. But they got the tradition, they got the fans, they got the rabidness about the fans. That's unmatched. I mean, really, by a lot of fan bases, even fan bases that have won national championships before. Like I've sat and watched a Michigan game, for example, sometimes, and even Alabama's games, and the people just sit around on their thumbs sometimes because they're used to being successful, I guess, and they're a little spoiled. But the West Virginia fans are very vocal, and I think they would actually probably fit in well with the SEC in regards to that. But like I said, ACC I think would be a great fit for them. So they got the fans, they got the traditions, they've been on the cusp. I think they just need that one special player and that one special coach to come together. Sort of like Steve Spurrier did back in the 90s, sort of like Tim Tebow and Urban Meyer later on in the 2000s for Florida. I think if they get that one special player and that one special coach at the right time, they just need that one big break. And if they win one national championship in football, I think it could open up the floodgates for them. Because like I said, they're situated smack dab in the middle of every major conference. I mean, they don't have big metropolitan cities there, and that's the big drawback for them. But I think the ACC takes a chance on them. They get those few breaks that I was talking about. I think we could see West Virginia come around and start winning national titles more regularly, sort of like Clemson did. I mean, the city of Clemson and Morgantown, pretty comparable as far as population and size and whatnot. So, that's my opinion on that. That's all I got to say about that. You guys and gals tell me if you think West Virginia could be on the cusp, or if you know of another major program that has yet to win a title in a major sport that could be on the cusp. And with that, I'm going to get off here. Like, share, comment, and subscribe to this channel. And as always, KMCA to all the other teams.